pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is the annual reorganization meeting of the Woodridge Board of Education and is in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, also known as the Sunshine Law. Notification has been sent to the record. Notice has also been posted in the Woodridge Borough Hall, the Woodridge Memorial Library, the Woodridge Board of Education's website, and tapinto.net. This is our reorg. So our election votes were Christian Klebon, 926, Christopher Garvin, 1546, Joseph Biamonte, 1585, and personal choice, there were 11 votes. And we will now administer the oath of office. Where am I going?
the top.
Just up there?
Yeah, just come around. Come around there.
Yeah, no, I know, but you're not gonna hear me.
Dylan, you want to hold the Bible for me?
Solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and to the governments established in the United States and in this state, under the authority of the people. So help me God. Yeah, tap my Bible. Yeah. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Oh, yeah, sure. I, Joseph Biamonte, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and the governments established in the United States, and to the governments established in the United States, and this state under the authority of the people. So help me God.
Sign this one.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Do roll call. Okay. Mr. Biamonte,
Present.
Mr. Fallon, Mr. Garvin,
Here.
Mr. Nieves,
Present.
Mr. O'Byrne,
Here.
and the Moonachie rep will be announced. I think their meeting is tonight also. I will now ask for a nomination for the board president.
I'd like to make that nomination
And who would that be?
for Mr. Nieves, please.
Can I get a first? And a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Biamonte,
Yes.
Mr. O'Byrne,
Yes.
Mr. Garvin,
Yes.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Nieves. Do you vote for yourself?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Nieves is elected president.
All right. Thank you, trustees. Congratulations.
Would you like to take over now?
All right. now we can run this meeting. No, I'm only kidding, Janine. All right. On to our second matter here, nomination and election of vice president.
Nominate Mr. Bimonte, please.
First, I'll second that.
Roll call. Mr. O'Byrne.
Yes.
Mr. Biamonte.
Yes.
Mr. Nieves.
Yes.
Mr. Garvin.
Yes.
Mr. Fallon.
Yes.
Congratulations, Joseph.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So I'm going to take everybody through as quickly as I can. Some of this is typical for a reorg. Very important to what we do, right, our code of ethics. So it's pursuant to 18A 12 to 24.1. I'm not going to read through it. There hasn't been much that's actually changed, but you'll see that it's, be it resolved, the New Jersey School Boards Association Code of Ethics shall be considered the official code of ethics of the Woodbridge Board of Education. Then I'll talk a little bit about the school member shall abide by those code of ethics for the school board members. It'll list it A through H, so I'll give everybody just a second to look through that. And then if you flip to the next page, you'll see an I and a J, support and protect personnel and proper performance of their duties. I refer to complaints to the chief administrative officer, which is Tony sitting to my left, and act upon complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution, which I think is very important and why I call that out, because that means before coming to a board meeting, it has to go through its due process, which starts with administration to Tony, and if not resolved or within reason, then we'll come before the board. So can I get a first?
Sure.
Mr. Fallon, second. Mr. Garvin, discussion? Roll call.
Am I going through everything?
Hmm?
Am I going
Just go through that one.
Mr. O'Byrne.
Yes.
Mr. Biamonte.
Yes.
Mr. Nieves.
Yes.
Mr. Garvin.
Yes.
Mr. Fallon.
Yes.
All right, thank you, trustees, for your support there. So for the remainder, I'm going to go through. For me, code of ethics is always one of the most important, besides policy and finance. Open Public Meeting Act, this is pretty typical. You'll see we're going to recommend this item. It's the Open Public Meeting Act. We're going to establish our dates, our times, and our places. If you were to turn the page, you'll actually see what our schedule looks like. We're looking at about once a month until we get to about May. We do have budget. We do have a number of other things that are part of our normal process, so you'll see us double up. I will say what's not here is our special meeting that we are going to have with Mayor and Council come February, but we will put that out there 48 hours in advance, so please take a moment to jot that down. We established the length of board meetings. Basically, what you're going to see here is we don't want to run over. We're going to try to be done as quickly as possible, but if not, and we go to 10 o'clock, we'll then need to adjourn and come back into 30-minute chunks. I don't believe in my time here we've ever had to do that, but it's something that we adopt every year. Designation of the regular business meeting. So we are going to start at 7 o'clock. We will have closed. So sometimes you see out there that it says 6 o'clock. The closed and executive session is for this board to meet. It's not open to the public until 7 o'clock. I know there's some confusion around that. Public meetings, right? You'll see the attached schedule we just went through. Special meetings, if I call for one as board president, and then committee of the whole, which is also called by me. On to the next page, you'll see the order of business at regular meetings. So as you can see now, we just did the call to order, Open Public Meeting Act. To sum this up, we're going to announce it. We're going to move on our way to any special notices. Sometimes you'll see a HIB report. Sometimes you'll see special appreciation or awards. We'll move on to our superintendent report. Then we'll go through our resolutions and then our hearing of the citizens on the resolutions, then anything they didn't want to talk about, and then we have open discussion and either unfinished or new business to discuss. I know I flew through that, but if you've come to these meetings, I think you're pretty familiar with that. We will appoint a delegate or alternate delegate for State and Bergen County School Boards Association. But what I'm going to do on number 9 is actually go through the committee and the whole regular meetings. So this I will actually read through, as painful as it will be. So first we have finance. We're going to start with our chair, Mr. Garvin. I will co-chair. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Biamonte, co-chair, Mr. Byrne. Personnel, Mr. Biamonte and myself. Curriculum and instruction, Mr. Garvin, Mr. O'Byrne. Policy is Mr. Fallon and Mr. O'Byrne. Liaison positions, public relations, and mayor and council will be myself and Mr. Biamonte. PTA will be Mr. Biamonte and myself. Police will be Mr. Biamonte and Mr. O'Byrne. Band parents, Mr. O'Byrne and Mr. Garvin. Drug and alcohol committee, Mr. Biamonte and myself. Library board, Mr. Fallon and Mr. O'Byrne. I do want to highlight both Rich and Dylan. We did have one of our own nominated and put into the library board as part of our mayor and council, Kerry Focarino. So I'm sure she'll be reaching out to you because she's looking to understand a little bit more about that. Club and fundraising, Mr. O'Byrne and myself. Technology. I'm actually there's two names here, so we have Mr. Fallon and myself. I'd like to actually add co-chair if we could just slash Mr. O'Byrne, because I know there's a couple of things that we're looking to do in 2023. Articulation, Mr. Garvin, Mr. O'Byrne. Recreation, Mr. Fallon and myself. Parent advisory committee, myself and Mr. Fallon. Woodward District Athletics, myself and Mr. Biamonte, and the PEF, Mr. O'Byrne and Mr. Fallon. Trustees, any comments, questions, or concerns on that?
We're gonna nominate for this. We're gonna do that later. That's usually you. And
Yes, that's why I didn't go through it. So President and Vice President. Adoption of our official newspaper. So I think you'll see every time we do our Open Public Meeting Act. And of course, Faith, we have you here, so we always include tapinto.net for that. As our digital source. We have our procedures. So to adopt the Roberts rules in order of the official parliamentary procedure, manual to be used and conduct and appoint the board secretary, board attorney to act as the representation for the 2023 and 2022, 23, 23, 24 school years. Our board policies and regulations, we will just approve those. But if you look over to the next page, this is actually something that's pretty important, doctrine of necessity. This year is something which doesn't just empower us as a board, but also empowers, Tony. I'll go through the first few, but, was enacted by the New Jersey State Legislature to ensure and preserve public confidence in school board members and school administrators, and to provide specific ethics standards to guide, their conduct. And questions have arisen regarding how a board should invoke the doctrine of necessity when a quorum of a board of education conflicts of interest on a matter required to be voted upon. And the School Ethics Commission, as provided, some guidance in public advisory opinion A3-98 of April 1st, 1998, but finds that there is no need to repeat and clarify its opinion. And the opinion set forth, where it is necessary for a board to invoke the doctrine of necessity, the board should state publicly that it is doing so, the reason that such action is necessary, and the specific nature of the conflicts of interest. And the opinion further provided that if the board must invoke the doctrine of necessity, not just to vote, but also to form a negotiations committee, because without even having 3 members to serve as a committee, then the board must determine whether to act as a committee as a whole, or to choose small negotiation committees from amongst its members after stating publicly its reason for doing so, forth set above. I'm not going to go through the last 3 because those really haven't changed. With this, I don't think there's anybody that has questions. I don't think that any were submitted. We don't have anybody here, but if this is something that needs to be talked about, please bring your questions to our later in January meeting. On to number 14, we have our travel and related expense reimbursements for 22-23. This has not changed for the past several years. We have our number 15, a readopt a written board bylaws and policies. Also very important to what we do. So as you can see in the first paragraph there, it's been recommended of our attorney, Kenny, Gross, Kovats, and Parton, that we adopt bylaws and policies that are in effect now in order to have them remain in force. This adoption does not preclude the newly organized board from amending old or adopting new policies should the need arise. You've probably heard me say up here over and over again, the 2 most important things we do as a board is policy and finance. So that's very important to what we do. Number 16, report on authorized printed pupil records. This is also another important one. And I'll just read the first paragraph to give you some idea. Our attorney specified that the board must annually at a public meeting exactly what types of permitted pupil records have been authorized in the Woodridge School District as noted in policy 8330. Upon the recommendation of the CSA, which is Tony, the board approves the following permitted pupil records to be maintained in files. There's 9 of them, which can be read through. That wraps up the resolutions, all of our procedures, et cetera. So before I ask you all, any comments, questions, or concerns? No. Can I get a first? Mr. O'Byrne, second. Mr. Biamonte, discussion. Roll call.
Okay. Excuse me. Mr. O'Byrne,
Yes.
Mr. Biamonte,
Yes.
Mr. Nieves,
Yes.
Mr. Garvin,
Yes.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
everything passes.
All right. So I will say for the record, since this is being recorded, we are planning a meeting. I said it again. I said it earlier on the week of February 6th or the week of February 13th to have a joint meeting here, which will be hosted by the Board of Education. We will invite mayor and council. We are going to talk about, our new or addition to school. I expect to have somewhat of a crowded house. I do expect there to be a question and answer period where we will come off the stage and we will have some blueprints, et cetera, for the public to look at and for us to answer questions. And I will pause there unless anybody has any comments. I do have to do a hearing of the citizens before we conclude. So we okay?
Yes.
Before in the audience, we have our new council president, Mr. Azzolini, who's now going to be our former liaison because Mrs. Mabel, will be joining us, and she is our new PTA as well as school board liaison. So welcome, congratulations. And I will open it up to the hearing of citizens. Anything they'd like to talk about?
Jeff Magnuson, 103 10th Street, Woodridge. Happy New Year. Congratulations to Ally and Joe on getting on board, being elected. Real quick, wanted to strike while the iron was hot. I'm sorry, Mr. Garth. Wanted to strike while the iron was hot on this topic. There was the holiday concert that was held, I guess, about 3 weeks ago or so. I thought the administration did a great job. I thought the teachers did a great job. I thought the parents' behavior was deplorable. I was right there when everything going on. Kind of even jumped in to hand out flyers because they brought the kids out because the situation got bad. To the point where I was even getting yelled at and reprimanded, saying, "How could you have this occur with overcrowding and everything else?" I'm like, I'm just a volunteer. I'm just helping out. Be part of the solution, not the problem. Not an answer for today. It's a food for thought, and I know you guys are probably already working on it.
I'll tell you. I actually called Lara that night. I wanted and first of all, and I'll say publicly, to know that, she's new in her role. And, I think she was a little nervous. Things didn't go well. It's her first one. So I wanted to assure her we think that she's doing a good job and she will continue to do a job, number one. Number two, yeah, it could have been better planned because it could have been better spaced out, absolutely. I think what we've done historically is we've given out passes, said, 1 to 3, obviously if there's a younger sibling and the parents or a grandparent or something like that wants to go. I think this time we just opened it up. It also was the first, post-COVID. So we had some families that were 8 deep, which is not typically something we have. Yeah. So I will say, unfortunately, the fire alarm went off, but that happens, and we are putting in preventive measures to make sure it doesn't happen again, and you live and you learn. Yeah,
it's like I said, I figured you guys were on top of it. And,
that day.
Yeah. So I felt bad for the principal. She went, literally was right there when everything kind of occurred, and we kind of jumped in to help out, help her out, and even helping out was a problem.
Mr. Magnuson, I was there as well, and I do appreciate, for anybody watching at home, the cooperation in such a crazy moment. It was before the concert when I was standing in Ms. Schmidt's office and I saw the line outside. Of course, my history there, I'm used to lines being out there like a Springsteen or Sinatra concert. Yeah. And the first thing I said to Ms. Schmidt is, we're going to look at splitting the day moving forward. Perhaps a portion grade level in the morning, the other portion in the afternoon. That might inconvenience some people. In this current year, we proactively, as we've done in the last 3 or 4 years, reminded parents that we roll through the program. We have planned breaks in between. So if you're a third grade only parent, you didn't have to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
You were going to get a seat. When it was all said and done, every third grade parent could have had a seat.
Mhm.
Of course, I heard from many people, both parents, family members, fire officials, and Fire Inspector Kurz and I had a conversation, and my administration will be meeting with him to sort of refresh capacity limits and what we have to do in certain circumstances. And our next large-scale presentation, we will have everything taken care of.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Never mind. I'm not going to bang that gavel on us. First off, Happy New Year to everyone, and congratulations, Joe Biamonte and Chris Garvin. Good job. Glad to have you back on the board. Yeah, I'm here tonight with the new liaison to the Board of Education. It's a position I've had for many years, through many administrations, and Michelle Mabel, who you all know, lives in Woodridge, been a resident for 20 years, teacher in special education in Hasbrook Heights, is going to be a great asset to the Board of Education and to the comments and remarks that come up to your board. And anytime she can't make it, she will call me, and I will certainly fill those shoes again. So I just wanted to formally introduce her and say thank you for all the support you've given me, and I look forward to continue working with you.
I just want to say congratulations, first of all, if I haven't told you already. Happy New Year. I have 3 kids in the system, been a teacher for 20 years, so I'm very excited to be part of this role and to collaborate with you and work together. So I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm still in here from last month. So I'll go to January. Happy New Year. Congratulations on winning the election. I just wanted to provide you an update because I know last year you approved us to tap into to work with Mrs. Papp's journalism students. I went and visited them in the fall, and their November edition of the Devil's Advocate, I pulled 3 articles, 4. I haven't gotten the 4th one back yet. 4 articles that I said I would love to do me a favor, kind of take a look and maybe include some additional information. So I tried to provide them with constructive advice. 3 of them came back to me. I'm waiting for the 4th on esports. One on Mr. Garvin's daughter, which I loved running. That was the top read story of the day. One on Mallory Moulton, 2 Mallorys being a Rockette. And we've got the one coming up sometime this week, I think, on the school musical being Legally Blonde, which another high school down the way is doing also. I don't know how that happens. So I just want to thank you for that opportunity to talk with them, to utilize them, to provide them with some insight and some real world experience. And I hope to continue working with them throughout the year. Thank you.
Well, one more year. So, thank you. All right, motion to adjourn. Mr. Biamonte, Mr. Fallon, all in favor? Sounds like none opposed. Close to nice. Thank you, everyone.